Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stage Diving with Scotty. Today, my musical guest is Matt Peters and the Nerdweasels. So is it just you, or is it a few other guys, or just you recording and then like other guys to do live stuff? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
how's that?
So that's originally kind of how it started. So I played in a band called Page Two for many years, and we decided to call it quits like 4 years ago.
Oh,
And I still had that itch to do music, maybe not as consistently as I was doing it before,
yeah.
but I had that itch, so I just started doing stuff on my own, and I just called it Matt Peters and the Nerdweasels. And I didn't have a plan yet. I didn't have a plan. I was like, well, maybe I'll get some guys that'll play live, but it'll just be me. And I came across a couple dudes that are pretty committed. Like, no, they played a couple times with me, and they're like, no, I think we actually want to go full bore into this. So I got two guys with me, Noah and Hayden, who they're the Nerdweasels.
Yeah. So where did you get the name? Like, was you just kind of pull it out of a hat, or
Oh
kind
my
of?
goodness. So
Sorry, I'm
it's
sure you get this a lot, but
no,
I had to ask.
no, it's great. It's a great story. So my brother, who used to play in my old band with me, and I play in. We're such nerds. We play in the world's longest running trivia contest, which is the Great Midwest Trivia Contest. It's always the last weekend in January. So we actually just got done doing it. And a few years back, we decided to give it the name Nerdweasels, and there were some reasons behind that, but I don't know, it kind of always stuck with us. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's something that's catchy, and it's a much better name than my old band, which was Page Two, because search engine optimization, it's impossible to find us. You type in Nerdweasel, it's a made up word. You come right to my stuff.
That's true. That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Like we kept coming across, like ESPN used to have a blog called Page Two, and so you type in Page
Oh,
Two, and
okay.
you direct you to ESPN. We're like, oh, this sucks.
Well, that's not what you want when people are
No,
entering in your name and you want them to go to you.
we had people
No, that's
actually
perfect.
like trying to find us. Like, dude, I'm trying to find your stuff. It's hard.
Well, it's okay. So I wanted to ask you because when I listen to because you only have two songs released right now, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So when I listened to you the first time, I was listening to kind of just your style and stuff. I'm like, okay, it's kind of punky and whatnot, and it's got a great feel and you got some great harmonies and it sounds good. The recording sounds really good. And then and I'll admit, like today I was like, okay, I want to refresh my memory again, listen to the two songs, and I listened to them. Okay, so now I got to ask you, from listening to them, you hit uh you hit two bands that I know I always say this, like the little Scotty blender here, but have you heard of a band called Crumb?
I have not.
No?
No.
Really?
Do I need to check them out? Do I need
Okay,
to
yeah.
put my list?
No, yeah, just for you, do yourself a favor and go to YouTube. I think you can only find on YouTube right now, but type in Crumb, and the album is Seconds, Minutes, Hours. Okay, and they were on. I can't remember the shoot Crank. Was it Crank Records? I can't remember. Anyways, regardless, so Jim Atkins from Jimmy Eat World played guitar in some of the songs off of that album.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna say was your two songs reminded me of Crumb and newer Jimmy Eat World kind of mixed together.
There you
So it's like
go.
that kind of poppy emo, but yet it's punky.
I appreciate you saying that. I really
Yeah.
do. It's kind of funny because I started this project like literally a week before the first lockdown from COVID. And so I expected us to be further along in how this band was doing things, but man, the first year there wasn't you couldn't go anywhere,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
anything. It's been obviously we're all in the same boat. It's been a kind of an interesting time. Yeah.
these two songs, were they just you doing recording at your place, or did you actually do studio, or
I
what
just
was
did it
your
at my
recording?
place and sent them off to a studio to take care of. I sent them to Nick Rad. If you guys aren't familiar with Nick Rad, he used to be in Hangnail. He's done stuff with Skillet, pretty much
Oh,
anybody.
oh,
Yeah,
wow,
he's
okay.
awesome, and he takes my stuff that sounds very mediocre and makes it sound amazing. So highly recommend him. I believe he's at a studio called Wire and Vice now. He used to be at Sky's Fall, but
Hmm.
fantastic. Yeah, I recorded everything just here at my house, and he took it and made it sound really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so then with these guys now added to your band, have you guys had any practices yet to like play shows? Have you played
Oh, yeah,
shows?
we've played a handful of shows together, and hopefully this summer we'll be doing a lot. And we've mostly been focusing on writing now, because like you said, there's only the 2 songs out there. And when we played live, we've mostly played covers of like my old band, because people around here, like that's what they know.
Yeah.
But we want to have our own identity and our own stuff. We don't want to just be, a page 2 cover band
Yeah.
with a few songs. That's not what I want to happen. So we're actually working really hard right now on an EP that we're hoping to have out before summer starts. We'll see.
How long have you gone into the album? Like just the 2 songs, or do you have a few more already kind of lined up?
No, we have probably 5 or 6 that are almost there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a perfectionist though, so who knows how long it'll be, till those are the way I want them. I mean, they'll never be the way I want them. I even listen to, as any musician probably does, listen to old stuff and go, oh man, I would do this differently. I'd do that differently. But yeah, we have like 5 or 6, in the hold waiting. They're in pre-production, you could say.
Okay. So then with these guys, are you just doing like kind of the email thing back and forth with files and stuff, or are you guys actually taking that and doing studio time?
Yeah, see, that's one thing we have to discuss, and it mostly just comes down to finances, to be honest. I mean, recording's expensive, especially if you want to do it well, which we do. So, I think we're probably going to go into the studio all together. That's what's been talked about. It's just going to be a timing thing. We all live busy lives, and it's not like when I was in my 20s, I could make anything work. Now I'm a little bit older, married and have kids, and a full-time job. Like most of the people you have on your show, I'd imagine. Unfortunately, we can't do music full time. We have to.
No.
We have to do other working jobs, and I say that, and I have a job that I love very much, but it doesn't allow me to be as free with it. So it's trying to fit in that stuff in. Yeah. But we're looking at late March, early April, actually putting the tunes down and recording them.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So are you like everybody else, where you got, like for me, I'm sure maybe you do the same thing, where on my screen I just have a boatload of folders of just like riff ideas and scratches, and sometimes it's just a crappy recording just to get like a melody of a chorus or something like that.
And a lot of it. Yeah, I have a lot of like files, like voice memos on my phone, where it's just me like doing terrible singing of guitar parts. Because I get like an idea and I'm like, I don't have a guitar accessible, so I just sing it so I can go back and figure it out later.
Yeah, and that's so funny, because then when you do that and you go back and you listen and you go, shoot, what was that meant? Like, what kind of melody was I thinking behind what I'm singing, or whatever, that kind of thing. Like, I can't get it back. It's so frustrating.
Oh yeah, that is frustrating. Especially with lyrics. Sometimes I'll write lyrics. I'm like, oh, that's so good. And then I'll come back to it and be like, I have no idea how I was writing this. Like, I don't know what the melody was going to be. So I have to kind of reconstruct it. And sometimes it just never comes back,
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm constantly writing. I mean, there's just tons of stuff that I've written over my life that'll never see the light of day, just because it's either not good or I just can't figure out how to put it all together. And I think a lot of songwriters are probably that way, where they just are constantly writing, whether or not they have something to write for.
Yeah. So then, are you kind of the guy where you do riff first and then lyrics, or you do lyrics and then riff, or you kind of just kind of a mixed bag?
It totally depends. Yeah. I typically write the riffs first and then kind of mold the lyrics, but it's not always the case. Sometimes I'll come up with something that I just find to be a really catchy chorus and then kind of mold the song around that.
Yeah.
I think usually I have the music first, and it's always kind of more of a, for a little while, I started trying to write stuff that wasn't, what's the way I should put it? Like, it was a little bit more mature. I don't know if that's the right word, but like not pop punk at all, like more alternative and like, it just wasn't me. I was like, I'm getting older. Maybe I'll grow out of this pop punk thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's never going to happen. I'm 35. I like it more than I did when I was 15. So
Yeah.
just stick to what I love. If people dig it, cool. If not, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like as you get older, you kind of get that you almost embrace the almost not necessarily in a mean way, but like you can almost embrace apathy like towards certain things. Just like I don't care. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
do this or I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
I can care less.
I've totally gotten past the point like where I'm like really, I mean, I want people to like this stuff, but if they don't, it's like it's really not going to impact my life.
Yeah.
So if you get cool, I'm mostly doing this stuff for me now to you know scratch that itch that I have to do music because
Yeah.
you know like I've you know pretty much come to terms with it and I'm good with it that this won't be my career. You know, when you're 15, 16, you're like, all I want to do is just
Yep.
tour and do all that. And actually now I have no desire to go on full tours because I'd miss my family too much, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I need to play, you know, I need to write, I need to play and all that. So like, this is like a perfect, you know, not, and that doesn't mean that I don't take it seriously. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that I don't care about it because I do. It's just, it doesn't have that area of my life where I'm really going to be offended if somebody doesn't like it. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you don't, that's cool. If you vibe with it, awesome. If not, you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
that's
No,
cool.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that because I think when you're growing up, you kind of almost in a way, I would say a majority of people are seeking approval, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's doing that nowadays. I mean, it's just a human thing, right? But I think when you're younger, you kind of seek approval, whether it be in a group or a band, or the metalheads are over here, the goths are over here, like so. Obviously, everybody's trying to be accepted somewhere, doing something, and you kind of care what they think. And that's the same with anything else in the world, right? But I think as you get older, um even like now, I even announced, I think last month or whatever, that even though I'm in the spacing effect and I'm playing this alternative rock grunge kind of a style, my passion is also first and foremost is emo, like
Yeah.
original emo. And I have songs that are so like emo, it would probably put everybody to sleep. But for me, I'm gonna re-record these songs now that I kind of know what I'm doing. Like I'm gonna record them and I'm gonna release them under me and
Yeah.
or a band name, whatever. But I don't care if anybody likes it.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
record it for me, and I'm gonna release it, and whoever likes it, thank you. But if
Yeah.
that's something I think a lot of people would have less stress if they just embrace that kind of attitude.
Yeah, so I've kind of gotten to the point in life where I'm like, I don't care. I don't, um,
Well,
like, I mean, I've been very blessed. Like I've done everything I wanted to do in life. I have a wife that I love, awesome job and kids, and like I'm not going to be more validated by having more likes or listens, even
yeah,
streams and
exactly.
whatnot. Like, yeah, those things are cool, and I want people to listen and like it. But if I have 1,000 listens or 100 listens, is it really going to impact my day-to-day life? No, it's not.
No,
So
no, exactly. Yeah, and I think one of the coolest sayings I've heard, and I think it's very I don't know, I really don't know who said it, but it was the whole thing of um, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I love that. That's always stuck with me.
yeah,
And I think that's so perfect in today's, thought process because
yeah,
of that sort of mentality of, being validated through likes and numbers and follows and friends and all that kind of stuff. And it just
yeah,
I see other bands and other musicians that kind of base their emotion on that too. And it makes me sad for them because it's like
yeah,
you don't it's okay if it doesn't reach 1,000 or if it doesn't reach 2,000 followers or whatever. I'm I'm in a band I enjoy, and we only have like 53 monthly listeners on Spotify,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
haven't even reached 1,000 listens on any of our songs.
Okay.
But I'm not sitting here going, "Oh man, what do I need to do different?" And why don't they like me? Nothing like that at all. It really is just like, what, the people I know who listen, they like it. They like it, and they share it with their friends. And that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
But I'm not sitting there going, oh man, who am I now? I don't know who am I,
yeah.
and what do I need to do differently because no one likes me enough to, whatever it is.
And
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I used to be a lot like that, like when I was younger, because like that's all I could. That's where I found my identity. And do people like my band, right?
Yeah.
And and for a while here, like in Wisconsin, we got kind of pop. People did like us, and we're living kind of large. But then, it like it doesn't validate you enough to like when you're at home alone by yourself, where it can like fill that emptiness that you might feel. If that's the thing you're trying to do to fill up, what might be missing in your life, you're gonna
Yeah,
always feel empty because
always.
somebody somebody's always going to have more streams than you,
Yep.
and like I used to like there are times like even like friends bands that like I loved and we were friends with, I'd look at them and see their success and almost be jealous, and now I look at them like that's dumb, man. They're my friends. I should be happy for them. um
Yeah. Why don't we go back actually a little bit to um, your mentality of when you were growing up and stuff? Did you grow up with music in the house? Is it, parents listening to it? Or how was your introduction to where you had the spark in you to play or noticed music?
so my dad has always been a huge music lover. Like I grew up on classic rock records, and he knew the words to every single song. But he wasn't a musician. He grew up on a farm here in Wisconsin, and that wasn't really something you did in our area. I think he always had the desire to maybe do that, but he never did. But he loved music. And then my cousin would babysit us, me and my brother, and he was in a local cover band when he was like, he's still doing it, even though he's in his 40s now. But and he would come visit us, and he put my dad's records on, and I'd go see his band play. And at the time, I didn't know it, but they were terrible. But I really like, and he'll tell you that, like, I really looked up to him, like, man, I want to do what he's doing. And then he taught me how to play and stuff, and he actually brought me up on stage with his band at this festival in my hometown. It's like 3,000 people there because there's nothing to do in our town. So if
Wow.
there's anything remotely fun, so he brought me up
Everybody's
on
going.
stage. Everybody, like
Yeah.
literally everybody's there. It was a town like at that time of 4,000 people, and at this festival there's 3,000. So
Holy cow.
I'm telling you, there's nothing else. But anyway, so I'm like 10 years old. I was like 11, 12 years old. And he brought me up. I played trombone in the school band. And he's like, all right, man, I'm going to teach you how to play the song Lowrider by War. And he's like, and I want you to come play with me. And so I did. And like, it was like a drug, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never touched a drug in my life, so I can only imagine. But dude, like the rush that I felt, I was like, this is so cool. And like, I always liked music, but like from that time on, I was like, I need to do music. I need to perform in front of people because it was such a rush.
Yeah. So were you nervous when he brought you up?
Oh my gosh, I was so nervous. Have pictures somewhere, but my dad came like backstage, and I'm like sweating, I'm all red, and he's like trying to calm me down because I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I don't know how this crowd's gonna react. It's mostly, adults who have all had a little bit too much to drink, like, you
Yeah.
know. And I don't know if I processed that at the time, but I was so nervous, even though I knew what I was doing and I was confident in my abilities.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. So I was super nervous, and but it went so well, and like people loved it, and part of it was the novelty, right? Like, oh, this 12-year-old kid's up here playing, like
Yeah.
that's cool. But like to just have people, they'd see me throughout the rest of the night with my mom and dad, and they'd just be like, oh, it's that kid. And I was like, man, this is cool. Like I felt like
Yeah.
I felt like a rock star.
Yeah.
So I in a way, I kind of feel like I've always been chasing that feeling, and that was in 1998. So I mean, it's been a few.
Yeah, isn't that strange? Like just even if you have like the worst experience, um, like for my first gig, I'm trying to. Here's the thing: is I'm trying to get like these old videos. I'm trying to get them digitized. I'm having a heck of a time doing it. But one of them has my very first gig as a guitarist and
Mm,
singer, and it wa- it was it's pretty cringeworthy. It's pretty
yeah.
cringeworthy. But at that time, even though I was nervous, and I called my girlfriend at the time, and I told her I was so nervous and stuff, and played it, and it was at a church, and I just remember going, "Oh man, we suck so hard," and this kind of stuff. And then afterwards, everybody's no, it was terrible, but everybody came over and was like, wow, that was great. Good job, guys, and stuff like that. And it didn't matter how I felt that moment of how I felt performing, but when I was told that, it really is still like, okay. To quote a guy who I just talked to today, it was the little light that covered the little dark. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to keep doing this then. I'm going to keep doing this.
It's funny that you say that though. Like not too long ago, and but when I say not too long ago, it's been a couple years. But we came across like the VHS from my old band's first show from when we were in high school. And man, we thought we were like the best, and like we thought we were great. Like it wasn't what you said we were doing where you're like, oh, we knew we were bad. So I go and watch it, and I like it gets done. And I go, why did everyone tell us we were good? And my mom just laughs. She goes, well, we knew that you were really excited about it. I was like,
Yeah,
oh
that's
my
true, right?
goodness, that was so horrible. Like, you know, I was like, oh, I mean, we weren't, I was the only one in that band that like actually cared. It was just otherwise three friends of mine from high school that were like, okay, we'll do this. Girls like it, whatever. You know, and that was
Yeah.
really their mentality. Oh, but I go back and I'm like, I'm not, kudos to you because I can't watch it. I'm like, I have it, it's right over there, but I can't go and watch it because every time I'm like, oh, this is bad. But I'm kind of that way anyway. Like, even now, like I watch live stuff from us playing and I'm like, ugh. Even if it's good,
Oh,
objectively good,
yeah.
in my head, it's never good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not a very good singer anyway. That's why I sing pop punk. That's not an offense to other friends that sing pop punk. No, they're pop punk singers that are actually good. I'm not,
No, I
and I'm
get what
cool
you're
with it.
saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I watch some of the live stuff. I'm like, man, what is wrong with us?
If you think about it, really honestly, you go, you listen to a band, doesn't matter what style they are, right? You go, how in the world is someone listening to this band? But
Yeah.
someone likes that band. It
Yep.
doesn't matter.
Yep.
So even if you think your voice sucks, there's someone out there who goes, I dig his voice. I like his singing. Like to me, your
Yep.
voice sounds fine. Your voice sounds perfectly pop punky
Yeah.
to me. It to me, it's
Yeah.
you know what I'm
And
saying?
that's what I was told. That's what I was told by Nick, who mixed and mastered all it. He goes, "Man, your voice is perfect for the style that you do."
Yeah,
And I mean, he meant that as a compliment. And
it
I
is.
took it as because it's the only thing I can do that sounds good. But I don't. He did not mean it that way. But
That's how we do it
yeah.
because we're always knocking ourselves down, you know?
We're rightfully, I think, our own worst critic, right?
Of course.
I think that's true of just about everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because especially if you're the writer of the song, know how you want it to sound.
Hmm.
And when it comes out not exactly that way, even though somebody else listens to it, like, man, this is great, they don't know how you intended for it to be, you know?
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm a perfectionist. I'm always striving for that, even though it's not even attainable. Because even if you got it to what that would be in your head, you'd still be going, no, there's something missing.
Yeah.
At least with me.
Yeah.
I
No,
guess I
no,
can't
no. It's
speak for
everyone.
everybody.
So from the beginning, how many did you play in like different kind of genre bands? Did you switch it up? Did you switch instruments? Did you just teach yourself? I mean, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my cousin that I referred to earlier mostly taught me. Well, he taught me the basics of guitar, open chords and some scales. And I was really into pop punk and in high school. So I learned some Ramones songs and thought that was really cool. Wow, I'm playing Ramones songs. Now I look at them like, dude, anybody can do that. That's awesome though. That's pretty much always what I've done. I've played in other bands here and there. I played in like an alternative rock band for a little while, like on the side. It sounded kind of like the Goo Goo Dolls. This is like back in 2005.
Oh, okay.
And we were actually pretty good, I thought, but I just didn't have a passion for that. Like
Yeah.
I listened to a little bit of everything, like and everybody says that, but like I really do. I like my favorite artist is Michael Jackson, and I also love some metal. Like
Yeah.
it's all over. And these days, actually, these days it's kind of weird. Now I'm older. I used to always make fun of my dad because in the car he'd always listen to talk radio, and like 90% of the time I have sports talk on in my car now, not music. So kind of, I've become him.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, it always came back to pop punk. Like I said, I even tried when I was starting this, after my old band got done, I started writing some stuff, and it was more like alternative rock, maybe like CCM type stuff. And I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. And I kept coming back to my roots. I'm like, man, this is what and it kind of went back to, well, nobody's going to listen to it type thing. If it's pop punk, I got to do this other stuff because more people are into that. But I was like, after a while, I was like, yeah, but I'm not enjoying myself.
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's good because it wasn't real. It wasn't natural. So it wasn't good,
Yeah.
Like, whereas this, I'm passionate about pop punk. I love pop punk. I think it comes out better because it's authentic. Yeah. I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not,
Exactly.
So it's always been that for me. And it's always been playing guitar and doing my best to sing some vocals.
Did you have a hard time when you were starting? Did you have a hard time singing and playing at the same time? I know some people have a hard time with that.
I did at first, but I was playing a lot of when I first started writing songs, all the like vocal melodies followed the guitar line.
That's true. Right?
Like almost like old Black Sabbath stuff, where like Ozzy's singing exactly what Tony's playing.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't like that, and so as I got comfortable with that, then I started to figure out by listening to other bands like how they could mix that up. And,
yeah.
So now it's kind of second nature to me. But yeah, at the beginning it was a little bit tough.
Yeah. But that's what's cool is that's what I love about this kind of stuff, man, because you see where you were, especially now that a lot of us are older, at least ones that are kind of like, well, I guess, yeah, like us. And you look back and you go, man, that's a beginning. But everybody started from a beginning, and I love how crappy we were to the progression of realizing I have something here to I want to share with the world kind of thing, and then like I want to take on the world, and then I'm on top of the world, and then to the point where you're like me, and I just sit back and go, I'm just going to watch the world. And I'll create and I'll send it out there. And if anybody wants to listen to it, cool.
But I'm hoping that 5-10 years from now, I'm hoping I'm still making music in some regard. But I hope that I look back on now and go, oh, I'm so much better now than I was then. Even 10 years from now, like I hope I've grown as an art, and I'm sure I will. I mean, everybody does if you put time into it. But it just, it is fun to look back on and go, yeah, that is a beginning. And man, and like I shared that story earlier, I'm glad that my parents encouraged me, even though they knew it was bad, because I wouldn't be where I am now. I would have just probably accepted it and been like, oh man, well, guess I wasn't meant for this. Like some of the other people I was playing with did. They're like, man, I don't know, this isn't going anywhere, because I think we've all played shows too, where like you go to the show and you're excited about it, and you got like 10 people there. And it can be disheartening, Oh yeah. And some of the other guys that I played with over the years, like that was super discouraging. They'd like, oh, this isn't for me. This isn't going anywhere. And I don't know. I never let that bother me, even though like I wanted to play for more, but I was like, I just want to play. Like, when it's live, like, of course I wanted to pack it out, and of course I wanted people to be there. And of course I kind of, like I shared before, found my identity in that, but I wasn't going to let that stop me, playing those shows to 10 people. Even now that happens. Especially now, I feel like I hit like a peak and now it's back on the decline because I'm old. And people are like, what's this old guy played pop punk? It's like dad rock.
Yeah. That's a good word for it. But you shouldn't care because, again, who cares? You're creating what you're passionate about, what you love. The stuff you want to talk about, the stuff you want to play, the stuff you want to sing, and someone out there is going to really enjoy it. And I'm sure it's going to build momentum. And you've only started this, it's only what you said, 2 years?
Yeah, literally like the week before the first shutdown, like the 15 days to flatten the curve, is when I like started recording the demos for the first single. I was like, I planned on like having a whole, EP out and playing lots of shows, and now here we've played like 4 because things are mostly shut down for a year and a half, and it makes it hard now too, because now we're like trying to get out there And they're like, well, you haven't played a lot. I'm like, yeah, nobody has, you know.
How are so when you got your other friends involved, how was the first like practice kind of together? Did it feel kind of rusty, or did you guys kind of click pretty quickly?
Yeah, it clicked pretty quickly. They're really talented musicians. I kind of just sent them all the songs, and I was like, you know, just learn these, you know, get comfortable playing to a click, which is something I 10 years ago never would have done. Like, get comfortable, and then we'll kind of roll with it. And like the first practice, about halfway through, it just felt like we could go out and have played a show that day.
Yeah.
I felt a little rusty more like in the performance, because and it's, I think, just part of getting older, maybe putting on a little bit of weight. Like, I used to like have the high energy, like running around the stage, and now I'm kind of just like, I have my little box here, and I'll, you know, this imaginary box, because I get winded now. Yeah, and it's still, you know, I don't want to make it sound like we just stand there and do nothing, because actually the other guys in the band are much younger than me, which is kind of on purpose. I kind of took that, like, if you're familiar with Toby Mac, he is a smart man because he's old now, but like his band and his dancers are all young, and they're like doing all the work, and he just kind of he's like, yeah, and he puts on a great live show. So I took that from him. I was like, man, Toby's got it right.
Yeah, he just head nods and does his dad box.
Does a little bit of swaying back and forth, but he doesn't move too much. You know, he's in his 50s now.
Oh gosh, that's right. He's that old now.
Oh my gosh, I know.
So was he like? Would you say like? What was the last show you've been to? Was it Toby Mac? No.
I think it may have been right before the shutdown. My wife and I went to see. We went to see Motion City Soundtrack. They, you know, reunited, and we went to go see them. But part of me feels like I went to see something more recently. I can't remember.
It wasn't very much.
It must not have been that good.
No, maybe not.
I'm really pumped, though, because I know I'm kind of hijacking this and turning it into something else. But in a couple of weeks, I am going to a show with my wife, just the two of us. We're going to see like Relient K. And I know a lot of people that are in this scene probably grew up on Relient K. That was like our favorite band growing up. And they're getting back together. So,
you know, I feel like I really need to go back and listen to Relient K, because I know in our group chat, people mention a lot of bands, and they're like Hawk Nelson and Relient K and some of these other people. And I'm just like, I've never got into those people. I mean, as much as I was like into, like, you know, back then I was listening to a lot of Christian music. I just didn't click with me, you know, even like Switchfoot and stuff. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. It's I don't know. But I think my problem was, I think I just wanted fast and hard, or I wanted just hard. And these guys were a little too poppy, cheesy Jesus thing for me. And I was like, you know, even me being a Christian, I was just like, no, I'm good.
My uncle bought me my first like Christian record, and it was Relient K, self-titled. It was right after it came out. I was 14, and he goes, "Hey, these guys are playing at Life Fest, which is a Christian festival here in Wisconsin." And he goes, you know, "We should go. We should go." And so I was like, sure. My uncle took me to this, and they played like, this is like right when they were beginning. They played like 10 o'clock in the morning. There was maybe 30 people there. And I was like, man, these guys are awesome. Then they like blew up, of course. So they've always had a special place for me because of that.
That's good. And, you know, I probably should revisit, because I like to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and look, I don't know if you heard, but Yellowcard was one of those bands for me where I hated them back in high school, because I think I was just jealous, honestly. And then I went back and something came on the radio, and I listened, and I was like, who is that? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Yellowcard? I am missing out. And then I saw them like 2 times in concert, you know, and they're freaking amazing live.
My old guitarist had a funny interaction with them at Warped Tour a few years back. So he was speaking, he is a cancer survivor, and they were doing something at Warped Tour that year where they wanted him to do like some speaking or something, and he did. And so he got to meet the guys in Yellowcard, and kind of gave him like a weird backhand compliment, because he goes, "Oh man, I loved you guys in high school." And I'm sure they've gotten that kind of stuff all the time. I was like, come on. Oh, because this was a few years removed from high school, and they hadn't really done anything for a while.
Really?
Yeah. So he goes, as soon as I said it, I was like, that was the wrong thing to say.
Yeah. What was their reaction? Did they ever say anything?
He said, they just said, "Oh, thanks, man." But he's like, it was a little awkward after that. And here's the other thing, though, with him, uh, Clark, our old guitarist, he's still one of my best friends. I don't know if it's a 100% true story because he is a guy that would make stuff up. So
Oh
I
no.
just roll with it.
I can say I've never actually met anybody like, no. I think the closest ever was Mike, so MXPX on your sweater there.
Yeah.
Um, they did a backyard show. This is my God, this is yeah, back in high school. And it was at a friend's backyard and it was for his birthday. And he was like on the swim team or water polo team. And so us went there and it's like this really nice backyard. And they're in this little space by like the back door screen door. It's set up and they played a whole show. And then at one point they're going, "What do you want us to play?" And Mike and I'm right there talking to Mike and my friend and bassist Jonathan were like, "I don't know, why don't you play this or play that?" And around that time was when they were just like beginning to play with Chick Magnet
Yeah.
and as filler, and then kind of played it, and then they were like, "Yeah, well, we're gonna do some cover songs," and so they play like Descendants, like Hope from Descendants. Except Mike didn't cuss at that time, but like he does now. But
It's a little different now.
yeah, it is a little different now.
But Mike is a cool dude. Like you got to meet him. I got to meet him a couple times because I used to be in the MXPX like fan club and like had a beer with him over at the Rave in Milwaukee, and he is a really down to earth, cool dude.
Yeah,
And this is probably 12 years ago, but cool guy.
yeah.
Obviously, they're still making music and still making really good music. If people haven't checked out their newest stuff, it's still really good.
Yeah. I think I've heard a song or two, but I didn't give too much to it.
Okay,
But
yeah.
but no, yeah, he was just that even though I wasn't very long and I wasn't very terribly interactive like you,
Mhm.
I didn't have a beer with him, but just a little interaction that we were doing, and even his podcast. I know he has I don't know if he still does it now, but I know he was doing a podcast. Yeah, I mean, I know he has different. I know everybody goes their different ways, obviously,
Mhm.
but it was so even going in his different way, he was still very respectful, down to earth, all that kind of stuff. And it was it's good to hear people
And
that
he always
even though
comes
if they
across
walk
genuine.
away, huh?
He always comes across genuine, like on that
Yeah,
show, you know. And he was with me. Of course, I was a fan, so maybe he would acted different, but he didn't seem like it. Seemed
yeah,
like he was acting just like he would any other time. But I like people like that, where you just sense that they're genuine, even in their struggles and even in their, hardships type thing. Because I mean, if you listen to his show, he went through some hard stuff.
yeah, yeah,
um, but especially with his faith and deconstructing that kind of thing. But I think that's an honest thing, and I like that.
yeah.
Even if I'm on a different wavelength of thinking, I respect it. Well, it helps you understand humanity better, right?
Yeah.
If everybody was the same,
Boring.
hey,
Yeah,
that'd be
right.
boring. And man, I'd be in a lot of trouble because I'm so weird. Like, like, and I'm well aware that I'm weird. Like, I'm glad that people are, accepting of me
Yeah,
uh, for who I am. And that's not predicated on what I believe or don't believe.
yeah.
I think that's healthy. I think we need to get back to a point where we're not so divided on you have to believe everything I believe or we can
Yes.
talk to each other. That's ridiculous. Like I have so many friends that have different political views, different, views on faith, like different football. So everybody likes a different football team around here than me, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Something simple as that.
Yeah, right? And in Wisconsin, that's a tough thing. If you don't like the Packers.
So your focus right now is recording the songs, I'm
Mhm.
assuming, and then in the meantime of that happening, practicing for live shows.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
so we're hoping to be playing a bunch of live shows this summer. Talk to some of the people over at Life Fest. My old band played there a lot. However, so many new people in charge over there, but just different festivals. We're hoping to play this summer and just get out live and have new music out. Is really the goal. Is to have a summer pretty full of just playing and having a good time and getting new music out, meeting new friends. That's
Yeah.
like that group chat you referenced. It's such a cool community, and I know most of those people only through the internet. I'd love to be
Yeah.
able to come see and meet everybody and hang out in person,
Yeah.
because it's really cool when that happens. Like some of those people I have, like Phil from At the Wayside, I've spent a lot of time with him over the years. Haven't seen him in a while, but it's always a cool time when we get together because there's just something about the indie community of musicians. We all have kind of similar experiences. We all tend to just vibe really well. I don't
Yeah.
know why it is, but I've never had a time where I didn't have a good time around some of those people. So I'm hoping to, actually meet a lot of these people playing festivals and shows, maybe even get together and collab and go on, short little runs of shows here and there in the Midwest. So if
Yeah.
any are listening, you want to do that, hit me up. Like
Yeah.
we have enough talented musicians in there.
Yeah.
I don't know the logistics of putting something like that together, but we could do it if we wanted. And I think that would be cool.
I think it's a good idea. I really think it'd be fun. And I know Aaron and I are, we have talked about possibly doing something live, at least like a show or two, not a tour. We can't. I can't with my responsibilities, and like a lot of us do, right? So,
Same.
but just even like a gig here and there would be fun to do because I really miss playing live so much and going out there and playing something kind of hard like our style and then playing with. But this was so funny is our group was mainly like a lot of pop punk and punk-ish style bands and like then you got like a two ska bands or whatnot and then an alternative grunge band. It's all
It
big
shifted
mix.
from years ago. I can't tell you how many times my band was on a bill with like 5 metal bands, and we were like the pop punk band thrown in the middle. Like, what are we doing? It was like 2009, 2010, when like everybody was like, the harder, the better.
Yeah, yeah. And you're going, hey, do 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 do.
We're singing nanas and hey heys, and
Yeah.
we're like, no, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love that, but it was always so awkward. So now it's at least in that group, it feels like it shifted a little bit. You guys are the minority.
It's so great to see people coming together with music because of music, and yeah, some collaborations and some really cool friendships and stuff like this where I'm talking to you. I started this because I love music and started just randomly talking to people. It's so great.
I know I can speak for others. We love what you're doing with this. It's so cool that we can like, community kind of brought together and kind of be everybody's sharing each other's stuff and like it. I actually feel like I post more about other bands that I've met releasing stuff than my own because I suck at social media because I didn't grow up in it. Which is something I need to work on. But yeah, I feel like Grandpa Loves Rhinos is releasing stuff, or Home Plate just released their new stuff. Let's let everybody know about that. And by the way, I know you had them on here not too long ago. If you're listening, you haven't checked out their new EP yet, you need to. It is really good.
Yeah, welcome to Brightenstein.
Really, really good.
Yep. A great punk album. And with hints of some very different surprises.
They get a little heavy.
Well, I love it because it's so unpredictable. It's so poppy, and then all of a sudden you'll just get this total like hardcore breakdown, and then or that jazz thing, and I forgot what song it was, but that jazz thing, and you're just like, what? What brought this on? But that's so great too is that's them. That's their personality, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Like self-promotion, I'm terrible at it, but I also, again, because I shared before, like, I want people to listen to it, but I also don't care as much of people because it's mostly for me.
Yeah.
I want to share it, but I also, I'm not making any money off it.
No.
If I'm breaking even, I'm doing well, and I'm not. So
it's so weird the joke of making money now with any kind of music. But again, if you're looking for that, it's not what it was back in the day. Not at all. You're better at making a clothing line than you are. Yeah. Making music.
My probably best selling like CD is easily my worst sounding CD because people actually used to buy them. When I start putting out better stuff, less people are buying it because who's bought a CD in a while? It's just not a thing people do as much anymore. It does happen now. It's more of a collector's and vintage kind of thing, as the young people would say, like just to have something like physical to have, but it's not like it was.
No.
It's never coming back.
Well, no. Well, I mean, some of it is. I mean, if you think about it, like some of the tape decks or tapes are coming back. People are buying vintage or vinyls more than CDs, and
We actually
that's
talked about
becoming a
that
thing again. And
when we release our, like when we release our EP, we're like, well, are we gonna do anything physical? I'm like, if we do, let's just go straight for vinyls. People will buy that more than they'll buy a CD.
yeah,
If they just want to listen to it, they'll go on Spotify
yeah,
or Apple
yeah,
Music. But if they want to have something, they're going to buy a vinyl because that's just where the culture is right now.
yeah.
Times like counting down the days till a CD would come out. Then you'd go to Best Buy or wherever, and you'd get that copy, and you'd look through the booklet because they'd have like art and stuff a lot of times.
And yeah,
And put it in your like, I don't know. I miss that.
yeah. I know we just went off on that for another 10 minutes.
We've been doing a lot of that, and I'm cool with it. I hope people listening are cool with it.
Yeah, I know, but I just feel like it's squirrel, squirrel, squirrel.
I have, I'm going to go on another tangent. I know for a fact that I have ADHD that is undiagnosed because I cannot, for the life of me, focus on anything. It's just unbelievable. Like, maybe that's why I never finish full songs for periods of time. I'll just start one, and then only when I have to go and finish it, when I have a deadline, do I actually finish it.
I feel like Matt, you and I have that in common. Yes, yeah. I'm very similar. Again, hence all the folders sitting on my desktop. They're just like a riff here, a riff there, some lyrics there, some singing there. But I won't go back to it because I'm too busy doing this. Or Aaron's like, okay, I'm waiting for those guitar parts, Scotty. Thank you for taking the time. I'm glad you reached out to me. It's fun. I like reaching out to people, but I love it more when people reach out to me, and I think that's so cool. I'm glad you do that because I really enjoy this a lot. So
yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I look forward to hearing the other guests you have coming up, and I want to see this community grow too because there's a lot of really talented indie artists out there that people either don't know or don't know enough about that I want to see grow. Yeah. Like I said, it's rooting for your friends now, right?
Exactly. But anyway, yes. So I'm sorry. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'll leave you to you enjoy your peace. Your kids are down and have your time alone. But yes, I will. If you have anything to promote in the future, please let me know, and I will definitely throw it out there. So
yeah, I will do that.
As I say, I'm here for you. All right, brother. You have a good night.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Bye.